So far this season in the Premier League, Manchester City are leading the way for goals scored, having accumulated a total of 68. The story was similar last season too, in which Pep Guardiola's team broke the record for scoring, with 106 in 38 league matches. Despite City scoring so many though, there's one specific type of goal that the team seems to score more frequently than any other, one that barely even needs describing to an extent, because the majority of observers are already aware of it due to how prominent it's become. Nevertheless, we'll describe the goal anyway for clarity purposes. The ball arrives at the feet of one of Guardiola's two wide attackers, but usually Leroy Sane, and after he dribbles and carries the ball into the box, he squares it for either Sergio Aguero or Raheem Sterling to tap into an open goal. It sounds very simple, but there are tactical aspects and patterns behind why it occurs so regularly. In order to showcase how and why this goal occurs, last weekend's 3-1 win over Arsenal will be applied as the most recent example. Firstly, it's important to consider Guardiola's preferred formation. He often plays about with the tactics board, but there are some constants that have been consistently present for effectively his whole reign at the club, shown below. In the graphic, Guardiola has evidently implemented his usual attacking setup. He has one central striker, two very wide attackers stretching the field, and two attacking midfielders who have roamed forward to be alongside the striker. The system is bravely imposed by Guardiola, but it's worth the risk because it provides opposing teams with numerous problems defensively. City essentially had 5 attackers up against Arsenal's back 4, so the opposing team were defensively outnumbered. As a result, the full-backs of Arsenal were tasked with an almost impossible problem to solve, and this is the case when most sides face Guardiola's conundrum. Stephan Lichtsteiner, for example, Arsenal's right back on the day, spent the entirety of the match with 2 immediate concerns, shown below. Lichtsteiner was constantly tasked with picking up either the attacking midfielder or the wide attacker who was holding width near the touchline. Many sides are faced with this exact problem when facing the champions, and the decision that's taken by most full-backs is to track the central player, leaving the wide attacker free. The decision to opt for the more central player is essentially common practice in football, as it's considered streetwise. The central areas are technically more dangerous, as well as being more important for a team to manage defensively in comparison to the flanks. However, by opting to cover the central player, the wide attacker is consequently left with acres of space to utilize. Below is an image taken seconds before City scored their second goal of the match. Here, Lichtsteiner has tucked in to cover City's attacking midfielder, and Fernandinho has hit a diagonal pass in the direction of Sterling to take advantage, who is free in space. It's now important to state that once receiving the ball, Pep's wide attackers are no longer required to stay wide and create width. Once Sterling controls the ball on the flank, he's encouraged to be direct, drive towards the box and engage in a 1v1 with his opponent to immediately exploit his vulnerability as shown below. On the other hand, and happening simultaneously, the teammate on the opposite wing tucks inside and is instructed to get in the box to hang around the back post area in anticipation of a cross. This in essence is why City happened to score so many goals that look identical, because they're able to get into these situations frequently because of their aggressive formation. Once arriving on the flank, the suggestion is to then create a chance, and City arrive on the flank constantly. In the match against Arsenal, Sterling opted to play a 1-2 from the flank with Ilkay Gundogan, shown below. Once receiving the return pass, Sterling simply hit towards that far post, and Aguero was lurking to finish. Guardiola's team are currently top of the league for crosses, with a whopping 537 compared to second-placed Huddersfield on 463, per Wiscout. Crucially though, the crosses hit by City are from threatening locations and they aren't aimless, they are premeditated. City are also top for touches in the box, and by an even greater margin than with crosses, with 809 versus second-placed Liverpool with 592. This basically indicates an emphasis on bringing the ball into the box before attempting to score. Overall, it's clear that Guardiola's formation manipulates opposing teams into leaving his white attackers free and in space. As a result, once the ball arrives at the feet of these white attackers, they're permitted to instantly drive forward before hitting a cross into the box. Often, those crosses reach the back post or the center of the goal, and when they do, it's typical that the opposing wide player or the team's striker is present to score.